which is happening at Dubai. I think yesterday it was 7 days completed, and today it's a rest day. So the first 1 week has been completed, and we COP28 negotiations have reached a important stage. And yesterday, lot of developments, very exciting developments could be seen. We'll go through all what all happened yesterday. But today, 7th December, is the rest day. So tomorrow we will not be having a review. Even though I'll try, if we can discuss some of the texts in detail, I'll try. But otherwise, we will again meet on 9th December. So yesterday it was declared, COP28 is having different themes every day. So yesterday it was multi-level action, urbanization, built environment, and transport. So this multi-level action is, generally climate action is talked about, but there is expectation on the governments to take action. That too national government. So I think people realize that it is not enough. So we need action at various levels, from local to global. So local, regional, national, and then regional, and then global. So these are the different levels of action which is required. In fact, this review is part of Council for Green Revolution and Center for Earth Leadership and Sustainability to trigger local action. So, so the multi-level action day yesterday is in tune with the work which we have been doing for the past 3 years. With Hyderabad as center, and we are talking to various groups, stakeholders, basically to trigger action, discussion, and develop solutions for this greatest ever emergency thrust on the earth. So yesterday, as I mentioned, it was Urbanization and Transport Day, and they also launched cement and buildings breakthroughs. Basically, because building sector is also a major contributor to carbon emissions and also air pollution. So that's again one of the sectors. Then UAE also is working on waste to zero initiative to scale up decarbonized waste management, because waste management is also a source of carbon emissions, especially if you have huge mountains of solid waste. They generate methane, and even if you are doing any processing of that waste, like waste to energy plants, even they emit carbon emissions. So decarbonizing waste management is another major area of work, and UAE has kicked off this waste to zero initiative. In fact, even before that, across the world, groups have been working on waste to zero waste management. That's what the name is, ZWM. And in Kerala, very pioneering work has been done. Himachal Pradesh work has been done, and UNDP has been working on zero waste management for long. Then another initiative which was launched yesterday was a global platform to use satellite monitoring to track and measure methane emissions from waste. So as I mentioned, a lot of waste all over the world generates methane. So now there is a global platform which uses satellite to track. But again, this has some implications because this data, whatever is generated, it needs to be ground truth. So it's not just because from the air, from far away, satellite can collect data. We need to do ground truthing, and I hope this platform will have that ability to work at the ground level as well, so that it matches with the satellite data. Road transport has been again identified as a major source, and now there is a collaboration to achieve zero emission vehicle by 2030. So UN Habitat, this is again a UN organization. They hosted a ministerial meeting. So ministers were there meeting, supporting urban environment. Now, all the cities, major mega cities are again sources of pollution and carbon emissions. So urban environments are also focused upon to withstand climate changes. They are the contributor, but also they are the recipients of climate disasters, which we have seen in the last 3 days in Chennai. And before we had heavy rains in Hyderabad, then very dangerous levels of air pollution in Delhi and Mumbai, Bangalore, so New York. So all the cities are also facing the brunt of climate events. So the building and construction, they developed a new key partnerships, and we are yet to get more information on what kind of partnership yesterday they were arrived at. So basically, sustainable cities is what is being talked about. And then we have a cement and concrete breakthrough. In fact, it has started long back, on COP26 at Glasgow. So now they are trying to mobilize finance for these initiatives, basically which are looking at creating more equitable human settlements, more sustainable and healthier. Now the words, we need to see what it means. Again, if you look at Indian cities, now there is more focus on skyscrapers. So huge, tall buildings, 50 stories, 100 stories, and then multiple towers. So these are being seen as a development and modernization and getting on par with the developed countries and the cities in developed countries like New York, Boston, London, Singapore. So people try to compare that and feel they have become modern and achieved something. But then are these, tall skyscrapers healthier? Are they sustainable? Are they going to lead to equitable human settlements? Basically, everyone getting a house or everyone getting access to house. I think these are the critical things because homeless people are increasing and homeless population in US is larger than any other country. So I think this, the fallout of this city growth, which is focused on only tall buildings, I think the result is homeless people. So we need to see if this cement and concrete breakthrough is looking at it. But we could see that cement companies, 10 largest cement companies, have come together yesterday and they are now decarbonizing cement production. So cement production again is also a major contributor. And just two countries, Cemex and Holcim, they are the biggest cement producers in UK and US. So they are also trying to address the emissions and try to achieve net zero emissions within 25 years. That again is very long because when other sectors, especially oil and gas and steel industry, many other sectors have declared their target as 2030, including automobiles. So why cement industry is talking of 25 years? That means if you're talking 2023, it could be in 2048. So I think there needs to be a more ambitious target for cement industry. Now, there was also a meeting on sustainable cities, urbanization, and digital transformation. So these are some of the activities. And yesterday there was a buildings breakthrough. That's a platform launched by France and Morocco, which was joined by 25 countries. I don't have any information whether India is part of it, but this word breakthrough is now actually there is a breakthrough energy company promoted by Bill Gates. And on 5th December and earlier also this breakthrough energy has organized a lot of activities. So this word which keeps coming up, popping up in various events yesterday is probably linked to the activities or coordination done by this Bill Gates led company. So if that is the case, I think we need to watch what kind of solutions are being promoted as part of this breakthrough in buildings, breakthrough in cement and concrete, a breakthrough in transport. So all these areas we need to be more careful and have a critical view on what is being discussed there. And there was a global offshore wind alliance. In fact, this was launched before, not yesterday, but yesterday they had meetings, and I think three stakeholders joined. Four joined again this alliance. So California as a city, the EU Commission, Panama, and Brazil countries have joined. Now, this alliance includes national governments. It includes states. So like California or tomorrow Telangana can be there, or any other sub-national states can be there, and number of private sector and civil society actors. So they are also part of this alliance. So this alliance is trying to build a wind energy across the globe, and their ambition is to increase the wind energy to 380 gigawatts in 2030, by 2030. So next 7 years, they want to achieve 380 gigawatts. If you want to compare, in comparison, actually the pledge which was signed on December 1st, it says the world is looking at 11,000 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity. So this 380 gigawatts is a part of that 11,000 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity, which means wind energy, the percentage will be still be very small. But this is offshore. So onshore is something else. So seashore and around sea, we know a lot of winds are there. And though the wind energy is has the potential to increase onshore, but this is offshore. So like in Andhra Pradesh, we have wind energy systems near Anantapur and various other places across India, and not a single wind energy source in Telangana. So again, we need to see why it has not happened. Because long back, 10 years back, Government of India has done a study and they have identified potential sites where wind energy can be harnessed for electricity development. So I think the new government in Telangana has to focus on this as well. Now, transport, as I mentioned, it accounts for 22% of global carbon dioxide emissions. So again, this is a very big sector. So transport, again, it's not just a road transport. It includes shipping. It includes all kinds of transport. So road transport, I think still there are studies which tell us. Right now, I don't have that figure, but yesterday road transport was one of the discussion points. Now, this is what the hotel at Dubai Expo City is saying. It is saying we are planting 28,000 trees for rooms booked during COP28. So the carbon footprint of the rooms and the people staying there, this hotel is saying they are converting it into 28,000 trees, which will be planted now. So probably we need to see the next 3-4 years how this operation will help in reducing the carbon footprint of this hotel residents. But it also indicates, businesses are now trying to take their own action. So this is again a kind of financing climate action. So hopefully in India, hotels and businesses will also replicate this kind of action and finance initiatives like afforestation, forest development, tree planting, wherever individuals, civil society organizations are doing. Now, as part of the meetings yesterday, I think there was a lot of side events. So one of the side events was by Greenpeace. So they released a report, and the report, clearly says every ton of carbon emitted today is a time bomb of later fatalities. So which usually people are still not realizing while the carbon is released. So whatever is released today, the impact will be seen tomorrow or later. So today's emissions cause tomorrow's deaths. So the COP28 must send a clear signal to fossil fuel companies around the world that their deadly business is over. That's a message is coming from Greenpeace International. Then we have Vanessa Nakate. She's a young climate activist from Uganda. She has been attending a lot of COPs. I think now she has grown up. So she, as part of this Greenpeace event, she was there, and she wants countries to hold the fossil fuel industry accountable for the lives they endanger. So we need polluters to pay. I think that's what he's saying. So polluter pays principle is coming again and again in this COP and before as well. And we have been talking about it for the past 30 years. Whenever you're talking of Patancheru pollution or industrial pollution in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. There was this opinions about COP28. Some are very suspicious, some are very positive, some are very pessimistic. So different views are there. So this the director of Potsdam Institute for Climate, research, he says that there is no doubt COP28 has to be the mitigation COP. So basically, he's looking at fossil fuel phase out. So the outcome of COP28 must be that all the oil and gas and coal nations of the world see what we are truly at the beginning of the end of fossil fuel era, and that we are now starting to bend the curve properly. So he's asking for reduction or phase out or completely stopping of fossil fuel usage. And he wants all nations to be part of this. Now, as part of a human settlement program executive director, spoke in that multi-level action day. So she said housing and urban development ministers now speak with the same voices as cities and local government. So this, I think, congruence from local mayors, local government, and the national ministers is being emphasized upon. So this kind of congruence, I think, needs to be achieved in India. We have a National Development Council where all the states are members and the union government is also there. So under federal structure of India, this National Development Council plays a major role. But unfortunately, this Development Council should have taken up this climate action as part of its agenda, but it did not take up, which is unfortunate. I hope we will trigger, we can pressurize government to take up that as part of the agenda of National Development Council so that all the states and center work in tandem and in coordination on climate action in India. Now, yesterday we discussed that 2,456 fossil fuel lobbies are attending COP. So again, that report mentioned, all of them together are multifold than 10 climate vulnerable nations. So this is the data we get. Somalia sent 366 members, Chad sent 554, Niger, Guinea-Bissau, Micronesia, Tonga, Eritrea, Sudan, Liberia, Solomon Islands. So when you total all these together, the number of delegates, they are lesser than the delegates sent by this trade association. You can see Emissions Trading Association sent 116. Then Clean Resource Innovation Network 60. Indian Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry FICCI, they sent 54. World Business Council for Sustainable Development 49. So all these business and fossil fuel lobbies, they are sitting in the COP and probably either promoting their business or trying to dilute provisions which can impact on their business. So we'll continue to report on the delegations because now the data has come up on who are the participants there. So maybe tomorrow or day after we'll discuss who are there as delegates from India and elsewhere and see how the participation is going. Now coming to the main crux, main crux of the COP28 negotiations is, COP28 is negotiations. So negotiations were very, very crucial and COP28 is there. But all these events which we discuss right now, they are all side events or events, basically meant to give a message, and they are also meant to, bring viewpoints together, perspectives are given amplification. All that happens, but still COP28 is about negotiations. I think that we should not forget. So yesterday, 17 draft decisions have been delivered. So these decisions, in fact, all the text will be handed over to COP28 presidency. And next week, they are going to work on that along with the ministers and then come out with a consensual decision. So this 1 week is the work is done by delegates. So next week, of course, delegates will be there, but now it will be more led by the presidency, COP28 presidency, and then the ministers and policy makers. So we had 17 draft decisions delivered and 29 draft conclusions also delivered. and still there are 83 draft negotiating texts, which are still, basic, and they could not arrive at any decision on that. So all these texts are very, very important, but dealing with different subjects like global goal on adaptation, global stock take, uh, a simple adaptation fund, mitigation fund, so adaptation and mitigation work program. So different streams of negotiation as part of Paris Agreement and also as part of Kyoto Protocol and various other subsidiary bodies. So we will again go to detail in a few minutes. But before that, the global goal on adaptation, there was a stalemate because the negotiators could not agree on any text. So everyone had their own viewpoint and they were not agreeing on a single text. And the disagreement is on also on procedure. So what kind of procedure should be set for to achieve a global goal on adaptation? So ultimately now it is going to be put before the ministers so that they set a direction for this work on global goal on adaptation. Now these are important. This is a just one on global stock take. Now global stock take is also part of mitigation work program. But importantly, here you can see the how the text moved. So yesterday at 4:30, 4:25, there was this 24-page text, and by 4:32, they reduced it to 12. And then, this ultimately they submitted a draft conclusion text, which is just a one page. And then at 12:35, they have submitted a draft negotiating text, again one page. So all these four together, they are the same text which were introduced in the morning yesterday. If you remember, we discussed this because a day before in the night at 11:30, some of the text was released, and this was discussed yesterday, but they could not arrive at any conclusion. So this global stock take, whatever options they were discussing, this actually flows from earlier COP. So at COP26, so for the first time, Glasgow COP26 summit, this text was given and included in cover decision. So yeah, apart from what all you see here, clearly just look at it says phase down of unabated coal power and phase out of inefficient fossil fuel subsidies. So this is the crux of the COP26 text, which was approved. So phase down of unabated coal power and phase out of inefficient fossil fuel subsidies. Now this was a call, there was no target, there was no particular goal, or it was a call, and it came after a lot of wrangling between the groups and countries. But nevertheless, COP26 was able to put fossil fuel into the cover decision. But at COP27, again, there was discussion on that, and India succeeded in including all fossil fuels. So now 80 plus countries supported, to expand this phase down of, fossil fuels. So that was agreed upon by 80 plus countries out of 197 countries. but still it could not reach the cover decision because a few countries opposed it completely and vehemently. So now in COP28, yesterday we have seen this text in the global stock take. So this is this is now being called as the energy package, and this energy package gives A, B, C, D, E, F, and within that A, B, C, D, there are options. Option one, option two, and so each within these A, B, C, D we can see, and this is just a call upon parties. It's not again binding or whatever. So here, if you look at the option one, it includes what was there in the pledge, which was taken on December 1st, and India is not part of that pledge. So it says tripling renewable energy capacity and doubling global average annual rate of energy efficiency improvement. So this is one text. Then there is additionality about the coal. So India did not sign that pledge because that additional clause on coal was there. I suppose that this text is more acceptable. And then you can see option two is no text. But then I think everyone is not on the board for even this, because even though 118 countries signed that pledge, which has the exact wording as here, option one, but still there was not much of a consensus when it was included in the global stocktake negotiating text. You can see in C, option one says an orderly and just phase out of fossil fuels. Phase out is, basically reducing. Now, all the, if you remember the controversy of a COP28 president saying there is no science behind fossil fuel phase out, and there is a lot of furor over that, and a lot of scientists came out and they again presented the evidence where fossil fuel phase out is required, because unless the fossil fuel use is reduced, carbon emissions will not decrease. So this being a straight conclusion from the science, the political decision which should have followed has not yet come. So there, I think these discussions are happening, and there are several options being discussed. So here in E, this is phasing out inefficient fossil fuel subsidies over the medium term. This is again a very past, I think somewhere in COP 5 or 6, this was proposed. So now it has been brought back and put it as one of the options. So then you can see rapidly increasing the deployment pace for zero emission vehicles. Zero emission vehicles is basically, I think they have to avoid using petrol and diesel cars. So Europe has actually already announced that by 2030 they will not have any vehicle which uses diesel and petrol. And France, I think, has already phased out petrol and diesel cars. Uh, so several countries are taking some such measures, but this is a global proposition where everyone has to follow that. So this option one, option two, I think has gone as it is into the presidency. So no change has been done to the text, even though the entire day they had a discussion. Now you can see how who opposed what. That became clear apparently yesterday. So China, India, and the Arab group, which includes Saudi Arabia, proposed deleting the entirely the energy package. So the one I showed right now, that is called as energy package. This is a paragraph 35, and all this A, B, C, D, E, F, and then within that option 1, option 2 is all together called energy package. And China, India, and Arab group proposed deleting it entirely. So deleting it entirely means what is the alternative they have proposed is not yet clear. But then Russia and Iraq, they proposed adding text. They said natural gas as a transition fuel. They said because the shift can be problematic. They said we can add permission for using natural gas as a transition fuel. Now, natural gas is also a source of emission, but still far lesser than diesel and petrol. So that's why that's a proposition. China itself has also proposed new text. They said recognizing the important role of fossil fuels in facilitating the energy transition while ensuring energy security. Energy security has always been a national issue and challenge for all the countries. So India, in the 1970s, to achieve energy security, it had to play with Arab countries because Arab countries are a major oil producers. So gradually we expanded our energy sources, but still the dependence of India on imports of oil, gas, and coal, I think is a concern. That's where energy security is being talked about. So, but here in the text, when China is proposing that, people think energy security is a code for building long-lived gas infrastructure. So, which is not aligned with the 1.5 degree centigrade pathway. So, basically, by meaning energy security, China wants to build gas infrastructure as an alternative to phasing out petroleum. So ultimately, I think some text also emerge which looks very reasonable. So Trinidad and Tobago, very small country, on behalf of AOSIS, this is again a regional grouping. So the new option is phasing out of fossil fuels in line with the best available science and IPCC pathways and principles and provisions of the Paris Agreement. So this, looks very good, proposition because it is talking about science, and how science has to be followed, and then the pathways. IPCC has suggested a lot of pathways. So one of the pathways, can be integrated into this decision. So there is some support for this, but ultimately the text went to the presidency without any edition, without any editing. There was a global tipping point report yesterday released. Now this report has identified some tipping points which indicate a serious level of global warming. So the tipping point as defined by them is environmental stresses could become so severe that large parts of the natural world are unable to maintain their current state, leading to abrupt and or irreversible changes. So, natural world. So it could be ecosystems or particular regions. They may change completely, suddenly, and irreversibly. So there is no going back. So this report has said those are the tipping points. That means once it is tipped, there is nothing we can recover out of it. So they identified 5 major tipping systems. So one is the Greenland, then the West Antarctic ice sheets. So the Greenland is also ice laden country, and there is a lot of ice which is melting. So even Antarctic ice sheets are also melting. Then warm water coral reefs. The coral reefs are sources of ocean life, and warm water coral reefs are also being impacted. North Atlantic subpolar gyre circulation. So this is again a weather pattern which is related to the polar, and again this could change permanently. Permafrost regions, so very cold, minus 100, minus 200 degree regions, wherever they are. It could be Siberia, it could be Arctic, Antarctica. So all those regions could see a change which could be irreversible, is what this report is saying. And this report suggests a lot of solutions, and one of them is a global governance. So it says global governance is currently inadequate to minimize tipping point threats and to do so equitably. Now, why global governance is because these systems which are being talked about, these are all common areas. They does not belong to any country, but still the impact on them is very high due to the rise in earth temperature. So who and how it can be managed, or the impacts can be reduced, is still a question. So that's why this report brings out that the need for a global governance, and that is inadequate, is the comment made. And it suggests a polycentric architecture which is the appropriate model for governance, because you cannot again assign this to a particular country or a particular UN institution. So polycentric means multiple centered architecture is what this report is talking about. I'm going into the length of it because it is again related to the work we have been doing and with our own perspective at Council for Green Revolution and CELS. So here you can see the scale, different scales they have identified for any particular earth tipping system. So one is global, regional, and national, and local. So at each level, they have found, they have assigned governance tasks, and they have given actor examples. So I think these are very detailed kind of model which has been suggested. So we need to replicate or copy this kind of structure for everything. Why only for tipping systems? Because whenever we are talking of Amazon, which is the largest carbon sink and which is the lung of the planet, how do others also put pressure on Brazil government, Brazil and some other countries where Amazon forests are there, because whatever it is done there, it could be a national decision, but the impact will be global. So the role of a global concerns in managing Amazon forests need to be integrated. But on the other hand, US in the past also 10 years back, they try to intervene in forest management in India and some other countries, citing that because of poor management, the entire global atmosphere is impacted, and they are impacted because of that. So if this is the case with the US, I think it's the case with all countries. So we need to see how a global architecture is brought out to respond to the global level problems, especially oceans, big Himalayan regions, all the Andes regions. All these things are multinational, multi-state issues. Now, there was a sustainable fashion show. In fact, in COP26, there was a declaration of sustainable fashion, where fashion companies from developed countries, they came together and they declared some goals. We are not sure if they have discussed this progress yesterday, but at least there was an event related to that. Then, on December 2nd and 3rd, there was local climate action summit. So 250 mayors and governors were there, and some $467 million were mobilized for urban climate action. Then there was another observation. We are talking about gender, women participation, and equity in that. So one NGO, they did a study, and they saw that out of 140 world leaders who were scheduled to speak, only 15 are women. So that is just over 10%. So this again is a concern, because women leaders have not inadequate number in COP28. And then the delegations analysis is done, and they found that 62% are male and 38% are female. So this is the ratio of delegations at COP28. So as I mentioned in the beginning, today, 7th December, is rest day. So there will be no negotiations. In fact, COP28 Dubai, they have sent out information that all the rooms, the gates will be locked. No one will be allowed inside the blue zone where the negotiations are happening. But of course, I think even green zone is also restricted. So tomorrow, 8th December, there will be events. So I could note 90 events are scheduled, apart from the negotiations, which will begin now directly under the direction of the COP28 presidency. 6th December, now I'll switch to Telugu briefly. నిన్న 6 డిసెంబర్ నాడు 3-4 థీమ్స్ మీద సమావేశాలు జరిగాయి. మల్టీ లెవెల్ యాక్షన్ అని, అంటే వివిధ స్థాయిల్లో చర్యలు ఎట్లా తీసుకోవాలి, వివిధ స్థాయిల్లో చర్యలు అవసరము అనే ఆలోచనతోటి మల్టీ లెవెల్ యాక్షన్ మీద కొన్ని కార్యక్రమాలు చేశారు నిన్న. మేము కూడా ఇక్కడ కౌన్సిల్ ఫర్ గ్రీన్ రెవల్యూషన్, తర్వాత ఆర్ట్ సెంటర్ ఆధ్వర్యంలో స్థానికంగా మనము పని చేయాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంది. స్థానికంగా ఆలోచనలు చేయాలి. స్థానికంగా మన సమస్యల గురించి మనమే ఒక చోట చేరి చర్చించి పరిష్కారాలు కనుగొనాల్సిన అవసరం ఉందని భావిస్తూ ఇప్పుడు ఈ కార్యక్రమాలు ఇట్లా చేస్తున్నాం. ప్రతి కాప్ సమావేశాల సందర్భంగా కాన్ఫరెన్స్ ఆఫ్ పీపుల్ అని, అంటే లోకల్ యాక్షన్ ఉండాలని మేము కూడా భావిస్తూ ఈ కార్యక్రమాలు చేస్తున్నాం. అయితే నిన్న అక్కడ COP28లో కూడా మల్టీ లెవెల్ యాక్షన్, అంటే కేవలం అంతర్జాతీయంగా భూగోళం స్థాయిలో పనిచేస్తే సరిపోదు, అన్ని స్థాయిల్లో పనిచేయాల్సిన అవసరం ఉందని సందేశం ఈ యొక్క మల్టీ లెవెల్ యాక్షన్ కార్యక్రమాల నుంచి వస్తుంది. తర్వాత పట్టణాల మీద చర్చ జరిగింది. పట్టణాలు ఈ ప్రకృతి వైపరీత్యాల వల్ల చాలా నష్టపోతున్న పరిస్థితిని గుర్తించారు. కానీ పట్టణాలు కూడా ఈ కాలుష్య ఉద్గారాలకు, కర్బన ఉద్గారాలకు దోహదపడుతున్నాయి. వాటి నుంచి కూడా మనకు ఎమిషన్స్ వస్తున్నాయి అనేది అనేక అధ్యయనాలు చెప్తున్నాయి. అంటే ఆ పట్టణాల్లో ఉండే వాహనాలు కావచ్చు, బిల్డింగ్ కన్స్ట్రక్షన్ కావచ్చు, భవన నిర్మాణ రంగం కావచ్చు, పరిశ్రమలు కావచ్చు, తర్వాత ఈ చెత్త పడేసి ఆ చెత్త నుంచి కూడా మీథేన్ గ్యాస్ వస్తుంది. దాన్ని కాలబెడతారు. ఆ కాలబెడత కూడా కార్బన్ ఉద్గారాలు వస్తాయి. ఇవన్నీ కారణంగా ప్రతి పట్టణం కూడా ఈ వాతావరణ మార్పుకి దోహదపడే కర్బన ఉద్గారాలను విడుదల చేస్తుంది. అట్లాగే ఈ క్లైమేట్ చేంజ్ వలన వాతావరణ మార్పులు జరిగి విపరీతమైన వాతావరణ ఇది వైపరీత్యాలు, ప్రకృతి వైపరీత్యాలు పట్టణాల మీద ఎక్కువ కనపడుతుంది. అది హీట్ ఐలాండ్ ఎఫెక్ట్ వల్ల కావచ్చు, వెట్ బల్బ్ టెంపరేచర్ వల్ల కావచ్చు, ఇంకా అనేక కారణాల రీత్యా పట్టణాలు కూడా వీటి వల్ల నష్టపోతున్న పరిస్థితి చూస్తున్నాం. అందుకే నిన్న మంత్రుల స్థాయి సమావేశం జరిగింది. అక్కడ ఒక జాయింట్ స్టేట్మెంట్ ఇచ్చారు. అది ఆ స్టేట్మెంట్ ప్రతి మనకి ఇంకా అందలేదు. కానీ అందులో ఏం మాట్లాడారు ఏందనేది మనం మళ్ళీ అది అందినప్పుడు మాట్లాడదాం. ఇది కాకుండా నిన్న చాలా ముఖ్యంగా ఈ చర్చలకు ఏదైతే ముసాయిదా ప్రతిపాదనలు ఉన్నాయో ఇవన్నీ కూడా అక్కడ నిన్న ప్రెసిడెన్సీకి అందజేయడం జరిగింది. ఎందుకంటే మొదటి వారం పూర్తయినప్పుడు ఆ మొదటి వారంలో ఈ వివిధ చర్చలు ఏవైతే జరుగుతుందో వివిధ అంశాల మీద వాటన్నిటి ప్రతులను అంటే ఒక అంగీకారానికి వస్తే మంచిది. అంగీకారం రాకుంటే వాళ్ళు ఏ దశలో ఉన్నా కూడా ఆ దశలో ఉన్న ప్రతులను ముసాయిదాను మన కాప్ ప్రెసిడెంట్కి ఇస్తారు. ఆ వచ్చే వారం దాని మీద మళ్ళీ మంత్రుల స్థాయిలో, ప్రెసిడెన్సీ స్థాయిలో చర్చలు జరుగుతాయి. చివరికి ఒక ఏకాభిప్రాయం వస్తే దాన్ని ప్రకటిస్తారు. రాకుంటే ఇక అక్కడికి వదిలేసి మళ్ళీ వచ్చే కాప్ సదస్సులో నిర్ణయాలు తీసుకోవడం జరుగుతుంది. అయితే ఇక్కడ నిన్న జరిగిన సమావేశంలో దాదాపు 17 ఏదైతే ప్రతులు ఒక దశకు చేరిన ఇచ్చారు. ఇంకా కొన్ని డ్రాఫ్ట్ కన్క్లూజన్స్ ఉన్నవి. కొన్ని అయితే ఇంకా ప్రాథమిక స్థాయిలో ఉన్న దాదాపు 83 అవి కూడా అందజేయడం జరిగింది నిన్నటి సాయంత్రం వరకు. సో వీటిల్లో ప్రధానంగా మనం మాట్లాడే గ్లోబల్ స్టాక్ టేక్ మీద చర్చలు జరిగినాయి. వేరే కొన్ని రూమ్లలో జరిగిన చర్చలో ఏకాభిప్రాయం రాలేదు. తీవ్ర విభేదాలు కూడా ఉండినాయి. అయితే గ్లోబల్ స్టాక్ టేక్లో మొన్న రాత్రికే కొన్ని ప్రతిపాదనలు తోటి ఒక ముసాయిదా ఇవ్వడం జరిగింది. ఆ ముసాయిదాలో ఒక దగ్గర ఈ శిలాజ ఇంధనాల మీద ఒక 8 ప్రతిపాదనలు వచ్చాయి. 8ని ఆప్షన్ 1, ఆప్షన్ 2గా విడదీసి ఒక 6 వాటిలో ABCDEF కింద పెట్టి ఇవ్వడం జరిగింది. అంటే ఇది ఈ ప్రతినిధులు ఎవరైతే డెలిగేట్స్ ఉన్నారో వాటిని చర్చించి దాని మీద ఒక అంగీకారం తీసుకునే అవకాశం ఉంటుంది. అయితే ఈ గ్లోబల్ స్టాక్ టేక్లో మొన్న ఇచ్చింది దాన్ని ఎనర్జీ ప్యాకేజ్ అని అంటున్నారు. అయితే భారతదేశము, చైనా ఇంకా కొన్ని అరబ్ గ్రూప్ దేశాలు ఈ మొత్తం ఎనర్జీ ప్యాకేజ్ని తీసేయండి అని అడుగుతున్నారు. ఇందులో ఆశ్చర్యం ఏంటంటే ఇప్పుడు ఆ ఎనర్జీ ప్యాకేజ్లో మొట్టమొదట ఏ కింద ఆప్షన్ 1 ఉన్నది. ఆప్షన్ 1 ఏమంటుంది? ట్రిప్లింగ్ రెన్యూవబుల్ ఎనర్జీ కెపాసిటీ టు రీచ్ 11,000 gigawatts by 2030 అండ్ డబులింగ్ ఎనర్జీ ఎఫిషియన్సీ అని ఇచ్చారు. ఇది ఇందులో బొగ్గు ప్రస్తావన లేదు. కానీ భారతదేశానికి మొదటి నుంచి కూడా బొగ్గు ప్రస్తావన మీద ఉన్నది. ఎందుకంటే మేము బొగ్గు మీద ఆధారపడ్డాం, మీరు బొగ్గును తగ్గించండి అంటే మేము ఆర్థిక రంగం నష్టాల్లో ఉంటుంది, మేము ఒప్పుకోము అని భారతదేశం గత 3 కాపుల నుంచి చెప్తుంది. అయితే ఈ ఆప్షన్ పూర్తిగా ఎత్తేయమని ఎందుకు అన్నది అనేది అది అనుమానంగా ఉంది. ఎందుకంటే G20 సదస్సు మన భారతదేశ నాయకత్వంలో సెప్టెంబర్లో జరిగింది. ఆ సెప్టెంబర్లో తీసిన ఉమ్మడి ప్రకటనలో ఇదే పదజాలం ఉంది: ట్రిప్లింగ్ రెన్యూవబుల్ ఎనర్జీ కెపాసిటీ అండ్ ఇంప్రూవింగ్ ఎనర్జీ ఎఫిషియన్సీ. అంటే ఇది భారతదేశమే దాన్ని ఆమోదించి భారతదేశ నాయకత్వంలో ఈ అన్ని దేశాలను ఇది చేయండి అని ఒక పిలుపునిచ్చిన ప్రతి క్లైమేట్ చేంజ్కి అక్కడ ఇచ్చారు. మరి అందులో పెట్టిందే వీళ్ళు ఆప్షన్ పెడితే భారతదేశం అది మొత్తం ప్యాకేజ్ ఎత్తివేయమని వాళ్ళు చెప్పడము అది విచిత్రంగా ఉంది. తర్వాత చైనా కూడా దీన్ని వ్యతిరేకిస్తుంది. ఇతర రష్యానేమో కొంత వేరుగా ఒక ప్రతిపాదన ఇచ్చారు. కొన్ని చిన్న దేశాలు ఒక మంచి సూచన ఇచ్చారు. ఆ సూచన అంటే మనం సైన్స్ పరంగా విజ్ఞానం అందిన మేరకు ఈ శిలాజ ఇంధనాలను క్రమంగా తగ్గిద్దాము అనే విధంగా ఒక సూచన చేశాను. కానీ ఆ సూచన కూడా అందులో ఉంచారు, కానీ దాని మీద ఆమోదం రాలేదు. ఇప్పుడు వచ్చే వారము దాని మీద ఈ ప్రతిపాదన మీద చర్చలు జరుగుతాయి కాప్ ప్రెసిడెంట్ ఆధ్వర్యంలో. తర్వాత మా మంత్రులు కూడా ఉంటారు. అందరు మంత్రులు ఉంటారా, కొందరే ఉంటారా అనేది అది చూడాలి. కానీ మంత్రుల స్థాయికి ఇప్పుడు ఈ ముసాయిదా ప్రతులన్నీ కూడా ఇవ్వడం జరుగుతుంది. సో వచ్చే వారం మొత్తం వారం కూడా ఇక రోజు రోజు ఉత్కంఠ ఉంటుంది, ఎందుకంటే దీని మీద ఏమన్నా వస్తుందా లేదా అని. అయితే ఇక్కడ మనం గమనించాల్సింది COP28 ప్రెసిడెంట్ ఒక ఇంటర్వ్యూలో, ఒక వెబినార్లో అసలు ఈ శిలాజ ఇంధనాలను తీసివేయండి, తగ్గించండి, క్రమంగా తగ్గించండి ఏదైతే ప్రతిపాదన ఉందో దాని వెనుక సైన్స్ లేదు, దానికి శాస్త్రీయంగా రుజువు కాలేదు, దానివలన ఈ కాలుష్య ఉద్గారాలు, కర్బన ఉద్గారాలు తగ్గుతాయని చెప్పే సైన్స్ లేదు, రుజువు లేదు అని అన్నాడు ఆయన. దాని మీద పెద్ద ఎత్తున దుమారం రేగితే మళ్ళీ తెల్లారి తర్వాత కాప్ వాళ్ళ ఆఫీస్ అన్నది లేలే, ఆయన అట్లా అనలేదు, అది పొరపాటున దాన్ని విపరీత అర్థాలు తీస్తున్నారు, సైన్స్ మీద గౌరవం ఉంది COP28 ప్రెసిడెంట్కి. తర్వాత మేము కూడా ఈ శిలాజ ఇంధనాలు తగ్గించండి అని మేము అడుగుతున్నాము. సో మాకు దీని మీద ఎట్లాంటి కాంట్రవర్సీ లేదని వివరణ నేర్చుకున్నారు. అయితే ఆ వివరణలో ఆయన ఆ రోజు అన్న కొన్ని మాటలను మాత్రం తిరస్కరిస్తున్నట్టు కానీ ఖండిస్తున్నట్టు కానీ చెప్పలేదు. అంటే ఆ రోజు మరి COP28 ప్రెసిడెంట్ సుల్తాన్ అల్ జబీర్ ఆలోచన ఎట్లా ఉండిందో కానీ ఈ ఈ COP28లో ఆయిల్ కంపెనీల ప్రతినిధులు చాలా ఎక్కువ ఉన్నారు. దాదాపు 2456 మంది అక్కడ ఉన్నారు. వీళ్ళందరూ కలిసి దీని మీద ఒక ఇది శిలాజ ఇంధనాల మీద నిర్ణయం రాకుండా లాబింగ్ చేస్తున్నారని అందరికీ అనుమానం ఉంది. కాకపోతే నేను నిన్న గ్లోబల్ స్టాక్ టెక్లో ప్రతిపాదన చూస్తే మనకు వీళ్ళు ఎంత ప్రయత్నం చేసినా దాన్ని ఆ ప్రతిపాదనలో పెట్టడాన్ని అడ్డుకోలేకపోయారు అనేది స్పష్టం. రెండవది, ఇప్పుడు వారం ఉంది, ఇంకో వారం ఉంది కాబట్టి ఈ వారంలో ఇంకా ఒత్తిడి పెరుగుతుంది. ఎందుకంటే ఐక్యరాజ్య సమితి డైరెక్టర్ జనరల్ కూడా ఈ శిలాజ ఇంధనాలను క్రమంగా తగ్గించడమే మనకు ఉత్తమమైన మార్గం అని ఆయన 2-3 సందర్భాల్లో COP28 ప్రెసిడెంట్ సుల్తాన్ అల్ జబీర్ సమక్షంలోనే ఆయన ప్రసంగంలో అన్నారు. అంటే ఆ ఒత్తిడి రకరకాల వ్యక్తుల నుంచి వస్తుంది. కాకపోతే ఈ పెద్ద దేశాలు, పారిశ్రామిక దేశాలు, ధనిక దేశాలు కూడా దీన్ని వ్యతిరేకిస్తున్నాయి. పూర్తిగా ముందుబడి వ్యతిరేకించకుండా లోపల దీన్ని వ్యతిరేకిస్తున్నారు. ఎందుకంటే అమెరికా పేరుకి మేము మిథేన్ తగ్గిస్తాము, ఇది తగ్గిస్తాము, అది తగ్గిస్తాము అంటారు, కానీ వాళ్ళ పెట్టుబడులు పెంచుతున్నారు. అన్ని దేశాలు కేవలం అమెరికానే కాదు. సో యూరోపియన్ యూనియన్, భారతదేశం, చైనా చెప్తుంది ఒకటి, చేస్తుంది ఒకటి అనేది స్పష్టంగా కనపడుతుంది. కానీ ఇక్కడ ఐపీసీసీ రిపోర్ట్లు, ఈ నిన్న మొన్న వచ్చిన వరల్డ్ మెటీరియల్ ఆర్గనైజేషన్ రిపోర్టు, తర్వాత ఎమిషన్స్ మీద కూడా ఈ మధ్య ఇంకో 120 మంది శాస్త్రవేత్తలు ఇచ్చిన రిపోర్ట్, ఇవన్నీ చూస్తే శిలాజ ఇంధనాల మీద నిర్ణయము దాన్ని పోస్ట్పోన్ చేయడానికి ఆస్కారం కనపడట్లేదు. ఎందుకంటే ఇప్పటికే మనము డేంజర్ జోన్ దాటినామని చెప్తున్నారు. ఇప్పటికే ప్రతి దేశంలో ఈ ఉత్పాతాల వల్ల సమస్యలు ఎదురవుతున్నాయి. తర్వాత భూమి యొక్క ఉష్ణోగ్రత నవంబర్లో పెరిగిందనేది కూడా మనం చూస్తున్నాం. 18 నవంబర్ నాడు దాదాపు 2 డిగ్రీలకు చేరింది. అంటే 1.5 డిగ్రీకే దాన్ని నియంత్రించాలి, అంతకంటే పెంచకుండా చేద్దామని ప్యారిస్ అగ్రిమెంట్లో చేసుకున్న ఒప్పందం. కానీ తర్వాత అన్ని ప్రసంగాల్లో చెప్తున్నా కూడా ఇది మనం 2 డిగ్రీలకి ఒకరోజు చేరినామంటే పరిస్థితి తీవ్రత అందరికి అర్థమవుతుంది. కాకపోతే ఒకళ్ళని చూసి ఒకళ్ళు వెనకడుగు వేస్తున్నట్టు కనపడుతుంది. వీళ్ళందరూ కలిసి ఒక ముందడుగు వేయాలంటే ఈ స్వచ్ఛంద సంస్థల నుంచి, ఇంకా వివిధ వర్గాల నుంచి ఒత్తిడి వస్తుంది. శాస్త్రవేత్తలు అయితే ఇప్పుడు చాలా మంది అక్కడ COP28లో ఉన్నారు. వాళ్ళు రోజు ప్రెస్ కాన్ఫరెన్స్ పెట్టడం, రిపోర్ట్లు ఇవ్వడము, ఇవన్నీ చేస్తూ ఒత్తిడిని పెంచే ప్రయత్నం చేస్తున్నారు. అది ఎంతవరకు సఫలీకృతం అవుతుందో మనం వచ్చే వారం చూడాలి. అయితే చివరిగా 2-3 విషయాలు. ఒకటేమో ఈ మహిళల సంఖ్య గురించి ఇప్పుడు సమాచారం వచ్చింది. అక్కడ దాదాపు 140 మంది ప్రసంగిస్తే అంతర్జాతీయ నాయకులు, అందులో కేవలము 15 మందే మహిళలు ఉన్నారు. అట్లాగే అన్ని దేశాల ప్రతినిధి వర్గాల్లో 62% మగవాళ్ళు, 38% మహిళలు ఉన్నారు. సో మహిళల శాతం లేదు అనేది ఒకటైతే, ఈ ఆదివాసీలు, తర్వాత బలైన వర్గాలు, ఈ క్లైమేట్ చేంజ్ పీడిత దేశ ప్రతినిధులు, వీళ్ళు కూడా తక్కువ సంఖ్యలో ఉన్నారు. వీళ్ళ యొక్క వాయిస్ కానీ, వీళ్ళ యొక్క పాల్గొనే పరిస్థితి కానీ COP28లో చాలా తక్కువ ఉన్నది అనేది మనకు కనపడుతుంది. సరే, వాళ్ళు లేకున్నా వాళ్ళ తరఫున మాట్లాడే స్వచ్ఛంద సంస్థలు ఉన్నాయి. కానీ వీటన్నిటినీ వ్యతిరేకించే బిజినెస్ వర్గాలు, బిజినెస్ ఆధారిత స్వచ్ఛంద సంస్థలు, కన్ఫ్యూజన్ చేసే సంస్థలు, ఇవన్నీ కూడా అక్కడ ఉన్నాయి. అదొక పెద్ద తిరణాల. దాదాపు 1,00,000 మంది అక్కడ ఉన్నారు COP28లో. ఈ 1,00,000 మంది మధ్య భవిష్యత్తుని నిర్ధారించే ఒక దారి గురించి ఈ యుద్ధం నడుస్తుంది. అది మాటల యుద్ధం అనుకోండి, చర్చల యుద్ధం అనుకోండి, మొత్తానికి ఇది ఒక శోషణ జరుగుతుంది. మన సముద్ర మదనం లాగా ఈ మదనం జరుగుతుంది. ఈ మదనము బహుశా వచ్చే వారంలో దాని నుంచి ఒక అమృతం లాంటి ప్రకటన వస్తుందని మనం ఆశిద్దాము. ఈ రోజుకి సమీక్ష ఆపుతున్నాము.